Hello, everybody. We are going to be working on the fourth section of the Unit 2. And as the picture says at the bottom, this is a challenged lesson. So make sure that you talk to me before you start it. So we've been working on solving linear equations. And what we're going to be doing now is solving them when you either have multiple variables on one side of the equal sign, like this problem, or the next one when you have variables on both sides of the equation. So what I'm going to do, just like before, I always want to draw that line down the equal sign to make sure we understand the balance of this equation. Now, if I look at this left side, I see 2x plus 3x together. So I have 2x's plus 3x's. And since that's girls and girls, not boys and girls, they can be combined to create 5x's. The right side of the equation is going to stay the same, negative 5 plus 20. Now, I notice the right side of the equation, we have negative 5 and positive 20. Those are also numbers to numbers, boys to boys. They can be combined as well. That is positive 15. So the left side of the equation is going to stay the same. We get 5x is equal to 15. And now this looks exactly like what we've been doing before. So here, 5 times x, the opposite of multiplying, is dividing. So I create on the left side 1x, or just x. On the right side, I create positive 3. So that is my answer. Now, very, very important to check your answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it back into the very original equation. So I get 2 times 3 plus 3 times 3 is equal to negative 5 plus 20. 2 times 3, that's 6. 3 times 3, that's 9. Negative 5 plus 20, that's 15. And this is true. Therefore, x is equal to 3 is the correct answer. Now we get a little bit trickier. So now, before we wanted to try to combine terms on the left side, but we got x's and regular numbers. So it's boys and girls. They cannot be combined. Remember, it's a middle school dance, no touching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of my x's to one side of the equation and all of my numbers to the other. Now, I like to move my x's always left. So I'm going to target getting rid of or moving this positive 5x. So the opposite of positive 5x is negative 5x. So I create a 0 on that side of the equation. So I have now moved all of my x's to the left side. The right side, since this is 0, is now just negative 9. And on the right side of the equation, 3x's minus 5x's is negative 2x's minus 3. And now it's back to exactly what we were working with in L.2 and L.3. So from here, I am going to add 3 to both sides to get rid of that negative 3 or to create a 0. So what happens here, I get negative 2x on the left side, and the right side I get negative 6. Now, where we use that color, let's do, I don't like yellow, let's do black. So now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. So I'm left with positive 1x here and positive 3 over here. Now, I did not try to get the same answer twice. It just happened to work out that way. So now we have to check our answer by plugging this back into the original equation. So I end up getting 3 times 3 minus 3 on the left side of the equation. And on the right side of the equation, I get 5 times 3 minus 9. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. And on the right side of the equation, I get 5 times 3. Well, that's 15. 15 minus 9, well, that's 6. So my answer of x equals 3 must be correct. Well, now we can start using the distributive property to kind of add an extra step to what we're doing. So we're going to start with blue. So I'm going to do the distributive property twice. So on the left side, I create negative 2x minus 8, or plus a negative 8. Those mean the same thing. And on the right side, I'm going to create 4x minus 8, or plus a negative 8 again. Now, I'm going to draw my line down my equal sign, and I'm going to do just like I did before. I'm going to move all of my x's one direction and all of my numbers the other. Now this time, just to prove to you that you can, I'm going to move this x to the right. One of the arguments people make is they want to try to keep their x's positive. So in this case, if we subtracted 4x, we're going to create a negative. So if I move this x to the right, then I will create a positive 6x. So I get 6x minus 8 over here. And on the right side, I still have a negative 8 over there. Well, now I need to move, that negative 8 to the right. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. And now one thing people do is they put an x on both. Well, an x means 0. So I have 0 over here and 6x over there. Well, if 6 times x equals 0, well then x has to equal 0, or 1x has to equal 0. So let's plug that back into our original equation and see if it works. So I'm going to go negative 2 parentheses 0 plus 4 on the left, and on the right I'm going to do 4 parentheses 0 minus 2. Okay, 0 plus 4, well that's positive 4, and on the right side 0 minus 2, well that's negative 2. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. 4 times negative 2, that's also negative 8. So my answer of x equals 0 must be correct. All right, so those are some examples. I want you to try these on your own, and you must bring these in to me before you can start the notes. All right, since we did these problems, I'm going to move through them a little bit quicker than the others. I'm going to move all of my x's to the left here. So I get negative 4x minus 3 is equal to positive 1. I add 3 to both sides. So I create negative 4x is equal to positive 4. I divide by negative 4. So positive 1x is equal to negative 1. And now I check my answer. Checking of your answer is required on these problems, by the way. So I go 3 times negative 1 minus 3 is equal to 7 times negative 1 plus 1. Well, that becomes negative 3 minus 3 is equal to negative 7 plus 1. So negative 6 is equal to negative 6. So that is correct. Let's try the one on the right. Let's go green this time. I'm going to start with the distributive property. So get 3x plus 3 is equal to 2x plus 8. And now I'm going to show you a trick that you may do, but you're not required. You can actually do multiple steps at once. So I'm going to subtract 2 x's from both sides. So that moves that. And then I'm going to move the 3 as well by subtracting 3 from both sides. So on the left side, I get positive 1x. And on the right side, I get positive 5. Well, now I don't have to divide. because x is equal to positive 5. So my check here, 3 parentheses 5 plus 1 is equal to 2 times 5 plus 8. This is 10. That's 6. So I get 18 is equal to 18. So make sure you bring those two into me. I'm hoping that you got them right on the first try, but I can help you work through them if you need help.